Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is David. Today I'm going to continue this project based on the previous video. So in the previous video we have finalized this banner page. On this page, the user is allowed to click on any of the carousel image and click on the shop now button to take the user to that specific item page. On the item page, the user can select the item size and also choose the quantity and also click on the add to back button. And supposedly, once the user clicks on this button, it should lead the user to the shopping back page. And the next step is to check out and pay. Alright, so in today's video, we're going to build this shopping back page and also same for the collection page, because when you go back to this banner page, the user can also click on this bookmark button, and once it's clicked, the item will be added to the collection page. So logically, these two pages are the same logic. We're going to build some global variables and store the collection item and also the shopped item into those global variables, and then map those variable data into those two pages. Alright, so that's our today's job. And I want you to open up your code editor and from the previous video. So far we have built this item detailed page, and if you scroll down a bit, in the previous video we have done this add to back, where we have this onClick events that will lead the user to trigger this onClick function, which is the handle add to back. So far this function has not done anything concrete. We just console.log the item that to be added to the shopping bag. But in today's video, we're gonna make this function work. All right. So on a second thought, so think about when the user add item into the shopping bag or the collection bag. How do we store them? How do we find, identify, and store the items that has been added? Ideally, we're supposed to create some global variable in the app.js file. Once the user click on them, those items need to be added into this global variable. Why do we make it global? Because these shopped item or collected item are supposed to be shared all the way across this application. They can be accessed or called anywhere you want. So we must store them globally for the entire application to have the access to them. All right. So here the first step, what we're gonna do is to create that new state variable, and we say back. That's the shopping bag, and we create that set bag. This one will be equal to use state. Initially, to think about what kind of a data should be given to that bag status variable. It is going to be an object that store the item, or going to be an array. It's absolutely going to be an array, right? So we're going to use an empty array, which represents, inside this empty array, we're going to store all the item objects the user has select and added to the shopping bag, right? So it must be an array. And same logic applies to the collection. So here we just say collection, and then set collection, and that one going to be equal to use state, and also we're going to give the empty array. Okay, so this is it. And once we've done that, we have this variable created, but so far these two variables are located on the app.js file. They are local variables. They only belong to the app.js file and cannot be shared across the application or by any other component or pages that we have built. How do we share them across the entire application? If you missed the previous video, please, I do recommend to go to the part 1 video, because we do have some very key foundational setting in the previous video. For example, this app.context, which we have built this create context in React.js, and we're going to share again this local variable inside app.js using this app.context hooker all the way through this application. All right. So here, what we're going to do is we're going to share more variables. One is the bag, the other one is the set bag, and the other one is collection. The last one is going to be the set collection. All right, so now we have all of these variables shared across. It's very easy, and that's why we use the context hook in React.js to share these global variables. Otherwise, you're going to have to do heaps of property drilling and to drill down each layer of this component, which is very complicated and can be confusing in the end. All right, so now we share them. And the next step is that we're going to access these variables. Whenever the user click on the button, these variables should be updated or added to those global variables, like the shopping bag variable or the collection variable. So going back to our item detail page, in this page, we're going to see if we have we have included that use context hook, but we have never used them before. So what I will do, I will fetch or access that global variable that we just created, because in this page, the user is only allowed to add the item to the shopping bag. So we only say we want to access the the back and the setback variable from the global context. And here we say use context, and you're going to have to tell the computer which context you want. And that is going to be the app context that we created. Remember in video 1 here, we create and export that app context, and because you export it here, and you can import it here, right? You must export it and then import it here. Basically means that you have that app context being loaded up, and here you just use that hook to tell the computer I want to use this context, and then you do the object destructuring to fetch the variable, the global variable inside that context. Okay, so it's like an environment. You put it into the cloud, a global cloud environment, and every child component can access them. That's the logic. And then we have the back and the setback. The next step is going to update our page and update our back, which is to rewrite our add to back handle add to back function. Instead of logging on the console, we will say that first we check if the item to be added to the shopping bag has already been added, because ideally we do not want the user to add the same item repetitively, right? We want them to add the item isolated to each other. So what we say is bag. We'll check if that current bag array actually includes the item that the user wants to add it. If that's the situation, we're just gonna jump out of this function by saying return. Otherwise, we will set the bag item. How do we set it? The bag item is an empty array before, and we're gonna copy the existing bag into it using this spread operator. This dot 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 bag means that we want to copy the existing bag array exactly the same, and also we want to, after the comma, by adding the new item that to be added. So now you copy the existing one and you add a new one, you put the whole thing into an array and you have a new array. Alright, this is like a fancy way of writing the array functions instead of using the old way like a pop or push, those old JavaScript way. Well, you can do in those ways as well, it has no problem. Yeah, I'm just saying that in ES6 we do have this spread operator to update our array in a better and simple way. Okay, so we remove that console.log. This is the correct way of handling that. And now we have that bag array updated. Whenever the user add a new item into it, this new item must be a brand new one. Okay, must not be the one that has been added to the bag already. Okay, so this is the one thing we have to do. The next step is going to show that the bag item. So far we have this global variable bag, have the function to update it. We haven't found a place to map this bag array into some kind of a UI component, so the user knows that which item has been added to our shopping bag. So that's going to be a new page. So inside our page folder, what we're going to do is create a new file called bag, capital letter, because this is going to be a new page component, JSX, and then we say RFCE to create that boilerplate. If you don't have this RFCE shortcut, going back to my previous video, in the beginning part of the session, I have showed everyone what it is for, and you have to install some extension to have that shortcut for the React.js boilerplate, right? And the next component is going to be the bag.css, and then very quickly, we're just going to say import bag.css. So we have import this bag.css into this bag.jsx. So everything you did here will be applied solely to this page component, not everywhere else. Okay. So now we have that. The next part is going to build this page component, and whenever the user click on it, it'll allow the user to go to that page. And the correct place for user to click on is this one. So the user should click on this icon, the shop bag icon, and then lead to that. Let's do that step first. So we jump to the header, which we have done in the previous video. Here we have this back part, which is the icon. So far, it has this anchor tag that shows that hyphen, but we want it to be changed. And to change the page, we have to use something from the React Raw DOM, which is called link. If you do not know the React Raw DOM, please also go back to my previous video. I have introduced in full what it is and what are the key components inside the React Raw DOM. So here we're just using the link component from the React Raw DOM to allow the user to change pages. Okay, but when you use that link, you have to use to instead of href. But they probably achieve the same purpose. There is no different. Here we want to take the user to the back page, so we say back. But on the second thought to think about, have we created this page yet? Then the correct place to create a new page is in our app.js folder. And we can create all the routes that is necessary for this project. So far, we have only created 2 routes, and we have not created a page yet. So the back page, we're going to build it now. So we'll create a new route. it's a self-closed, and we say exact, and give them a path. This path must match the path you have entered here, whichever one you create first in the header. If you want the user to go to the shopping bag by going to the /bag, so if you put a /bag here, and you must also put /bag here. It cannot be a different name, otherwise it will confuse the user. And then you're going to tell the computer which element I'm going to show when the user goes to that page. We want to show that back page component, right? So here we say element equals to, and we import that back page. And see if we have imported. Yeah, imported. And then we're just going up. Just double confirm that we have successfully imported back page component from the correct directory. And going back to our header, because we used the link here, and just double check that we do have that link up there, right? So my habit is to put this one above, because these are like a vandal component, and these are your customized component. I want to just separate them out. And now you have that thing done. And inside this page, we probably want to give a bit of a test. We say give the h1 and say back. And we're going back to here. Once we click on the header, the shopping bag icon, hopefully, yeah, we have successfully jumped into that back page with no problem. And you couldn't see that URL probably so far, but we are going to this page. Currently, it's an empty page. Even though we have that back was there, it's hidden on the corner, up the corner. But once we build it, it'll show everything, okay? So things are done, routes are done, and the correct links are done. We close this off. And inside the back page, we start to build things. And think about how does the back page supposed to look like? The back page is supposed to look like a table, a table that contains different rows, and each row contains the information of the product that has been added to this bag, right? So instead of writing that title, what we're going to say here, we'll give the entire thing a class name and call it a shopping bag. And inside that shopping bag, we give them a container. And inside the container, we give them a first row. The first row is going to contain our heading of this page. So we give a margin to bottom of 2. This is a bootstrap thing. If you don't know what a bootstrap is or don't know how to set up bootstrap, please also go back to my previous video at the introduction part. And the margin comes at 5 level. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2 is not a very big margin down the bottom. It's like a standard margin down the bottom, alright? So and inside here, we want to give them a h1. I will say that this is going to be my shopping bag. So this is going to be my shopping bag. So now we have it. And if we just give a bit of a CSS to this shopping bag page, like say over here, we say we want the shopping bag to be positioned relative and the margin to top 120 pixels. Let's see if anything happens. Yeah, it's there. We just give a bit of a margin from the top, and it will show that shopping bag words. So that basically means that we are on the correct page with all the components built correctly so far. All right. So the next one, below that row, my shopping bag row, we wanted to go to a new thing. And then the next step is for us to create that shopping bag table. In the shopping bag table, we are going to map all the elements that have been added to our bag environment. The bag environment variable, which we have set up here in app.js file and shared across using that app context hook, is going to be accessed inside our bag page. All right. So here we're just gonna link in a couple of hooks. I'm just gonna type all the hooks we're gonna use on this page. It's quite a few. We're gonna use the use state hook, and we're gonna use the use effect hook, and we can also use the use context hook. All right. So the next part, const. Here we're gonna say we're gonna object destructuring the bag from that use context hook, from that app context. So here we have this automatic importation from the app page. We import that app context and use that app context object destructuring that bag in variables. Because we are on this bag page, we want to rename this one to item. This is the ES6 syntax. When you do the object destructuring and you want to rename that variable to something else, you can using this colon and then rename it to the thing you want. All right. If you're unfamiliar with this syntax, you can go to the ES6 website to check it out. But I just show you that you can do it this way. So below the code, instead of saying mapping the bag, we're actually mapping the items. They're the same thing, representing the same value. Okay. So now here, down below, what we're gonna do, we're gonna map this thing into our table. So create a curly braces, and inside the curly braces, we're gonna check out first items, which refer to this items array that we access from the environment. We're gonna check the length triple equal to 0. We want to know if it's an empty array or not. So think about it. If it's an empty array, what we're gonna do here? We're gonna show to the user that your shopping bag is empty, right? So we're not gonna allow the user to see anything. So here I will give them h2 by saying that your bag is empty. Maybe this one is lowercase. All right. So if it's not equal to 0, basically means that the user has something stored in it, and we're gonna show user the shopping bag table. Okay. And to make things easy, what I will do, I'll copy and paste the code directly into this part, and you will see and explain to you. You will see how it works. So I'll copy and paste the entire part. Yeah, that's all from here. So let me explain this code for you. How it works is that we're going to first check if the items array is empty. If it's empty, you're going to show the user your shopping bag is empty. Basically, there's no item in it. If it's not, we're going to show user this entire table. The table comes as a row. This is a table response, which is also a Bootstrap table. And you just have to type in this class name, which is all provided by Bootstrap, and it'll load on the browser in a very proper way. And this class name is a customized class name that I made called shop bag table. So we can make some customized CSS setting for it. And inside the table, this is the header of the table. As you can see, we have the numbers of the item, the preview image of the item, and also the product name, the size, the price, the quantity, discount, payment, and remove button, which is the garbage button. These are all coming from the previous component that we built in the last session. And in the last session, when we add item into that shopping bag, this item objects contains all of those information. As you can see, we specifically created the quantity and size property and include those into those item objects. And the original item object contains those information already. If you check the URL that we built in the last video, we have this price, category, title, and all the sort of things already there. Okay, so far we just pass in this entirely complete product item into this shopping bag, and the item itself is going to be mapped into the shop bag item. The shop bag item is going to be the row of that table. Okay, let me just show you how this row looks like. So here I put in this shop bag item component, which is the row. So this is each row of that item, and inside here we're going to give the user the index of that item, and also the background image, which can be accessed from that URL that we built. And also we're going to access the size, the price. We're going to make sure the decimal place of the price make them to 2 decimal place, and also the quantity. The quantity was passed from this page over here, right? So when we add it, we add the entire new item, and that entire new item is over here. Right? We pass in the entire new item, which includes the size and the quantity. And keep going. We have also provide the discount information. We have also allowed the user to calculate how much you're going to pay in the final after deducting the discount. Okay, so the last bit is going to be a remove button. The remove button, we create a handle remove from bag function. And up here, we say that we use a JavaScript higher order array filter function, which allows the user to filter out the item that we want to kick out. And we say bag.filter, we found the item ID, which is not equal to the item ID that has been clicked. Those things are going to stay in our bag array. However, the one that you click on, which is the ID that you have found, will be kicked out of the bag array, and we reset that bag array. Okay, so these two are coming from our global variable as well. So we just use that global bag variable and apply the JavaScript filter function to kick out the item that we want to remove from the bag. Okay, so this is how this page works. And once we've done that, we have this item here. So we're just gonna retype this m to import that component. So once it's import, you will see this shop bag item from the above. Okay, so that's what it is for. Another thing I want to focus on this page is to show the total amount of the money that the user have to pay. And think about when we have a list of the item, and so far we just commented out. when we have the list of the item, each item will be shown in the row, and that row will have its final payment, like here, right? So we'll have the final payment, which is the item price times the quantity times the 1 minus discount, which is the final payment, right? And we keep the 2 decimal place. However, in the end, we want the user to have one big final payment that will add up all the individual payment in each row. So that's what is total for. Okay, so how the thing is going to work? Let's go back to our page for now, and we just choose one. Say for example this one, shop now, add to bag. Let's see that. Yeah, that item there has been added to the bag, as you can see. And let me just going back a bit to the previous page, and to the previous page. Maybe this one again, that one there, add to the bag. And going to the bag, you can now see there's 2 items that has been successfully added to our bag based on the thing that we just created. And you will see that the correct discount has applied. This one has no discount at all because we set it so. Yeah, each item object has its own discount number there. So some have discount, some does not have discount. And you can see the payment is calculated by the price times quantity times 1 minus the discount percentage, and we'll have the individual payment. However, we are missing a total here. The total should add up these 2 final number, right? So how do we achieve that and release this part? Just above that page, we're going to create a function called calculate the total payment or handle the total payment. But to do so, we need to create a state variable to store that value. Let's just say const, a state variable called total, and we say set total. And that's going to be a state variable. Initially, the total value is supposed to be 0 because we have to assume that no items are to be added to the product bag. Once we have that, we are confident to release this part to have the code still working. As you go back, reload it, that thing is gone. But if we add one other item again, so this one add to bag, go in it. Let's see. Yeah, it's there. It's just doesn't have sufficient color contrast. It says total 0 because it's not working yet. But we have the text words here. Supposedly, it should show that payments add up. How do we achieve that? And we're just going to write a new function just below that total state variable. Call it handle total payment. I copy and paste here and I explain to you. Here, what it says is that we're going to map through all the items that has been added to our shopping bag, and for each of them, we want them to have that price times quantity times the 1 minus discount to be calculated. After this calculation is done, what we can achieve? We can achieve each individual payment, right? And we also want each individual payments to be accumulated together one by using that reduce function. Reduce is also another JavaScript higher order array function, like a map, filter, reduce, for each. All of these, you should get yourself familiarized with them because they are like a more fancy way of writing functions. And the way the reduce function works is that it's going to accumulate all the things inside your array one by one as long as they are number. It starts from 0, and once you have a new number jump in, they're going to accumulate that one inside the new array and updates the total. Okay, so we have an accumulator, we have the current value. The current value beginning with 0, and once the first item gets calculated, it gets put it into that reduce function and gets accumulated. The second one gets calculated, and that one gets put it into that reduce function and accumulated again. So if you have arrays, for example, just a simple example, you have a 1, 2, have 1, 2, and 3. You have a 3 number. Using that reduce function, you can add those 3 numbers together. Initially, it's going to start from 0, and then the next step is going to be 0 plus 1, and then you will have 1. That's one accumulation. The next step is going to be 1 plus 2, because the second number comes in, and you're going to have 3. And the last step is going to be a 3 plus 3, because the last one comes in, and you're going to have 6. So that's how the logic works inside the reduce. The same thing, except that instead of adding 1, 2, 3, they're going to accumulate this calculation, which is the individual payment of each bag item. Okay, so hopefully I make myself understood. And if you apply this one and keep the decimal place to 2, you will have that handle total payment to work out the total amount of money the user need to pay, which is very important. If you make a mistake here, you're going to make a lot of mistakes on the final checkout page, and you're going to probably make a loss to your business. But the next thing is that when we're going to call this function, how are we going to ever apply this function? This is the position where we're going to use the use effect hook, and I'm just gonna put it over here. Down below, we use that use effect hook. This hook will be called whenever this back item gets mounted on our browser, and the use effect hook will be called, and inside it we call that handle payment function and reset our total amount. And inside this array, we're gonna have to tell the computer, depending on what, this function will be called again, depending on items. So whenever the backed item changes, this total amount will be recalculated and gets remounted, re-rendered on our browser. That's how it works. Okay, so once we've done that, hopefully we are supposed to see that total numbers there. As you can see, there's a 96.61 gets added in. So far it looks pretty ugly because we haven't added on the CSS part for it. Let me just quickly put on the CSS for the back so it can look much nicer. So we'll say the remaining stuff. Give that shop back table color white and give it a proper margin and the box shadow, and also make sure that the alignment and font size inside each row and table head is correct. Just some adjustment of those. So once you've done that, you're going back, you will see this looks much better, much brighter. So we only have one item here, and let's just probably go back to the previous page and add a few more stuff. Maybe this one is item 3, shop now, add to back, going to the back, and then you can see there's 2 items there. One is on 20% discount, the other one has no discount. And after we have calculated the individual payment, this number will automatically add up these 2 individual payments, right? So if this is correct, once the user clicks on the checkout button, it will take the user to the payment page, whether it's a third-party payment page or you use your own bank API or Stripe API or PayPal API. So whatever payment method you use, or Google Pay, it'll lead the user to that page. But however, the amount the user is going to pay is this one, right? So you're going to have this one calculated correctly for the transaction to be successful. Otherwise, you just keep losing money because you have that box inside your table calculation. And you can also say that here it shows the numbers of items the user has been shopped on, which is 2. This is very easy. We just need to find out how many items inside this bag array. Okay, so going back to our bag, as you can see, total items, which is the length of that items array, so which is very easy to find. Okay, so once we get this logic, there's another way that we can apply this logic. If you look at here, on the back button, the back icon, and also the collection icon, we are supposed to access the numbers of items inside those 2 and show it down here in the round corner. But so far, we hard-coded those 5 and 3. This is supposed to be dynamic. And the way to do so is to check out the length of those collection array and the bag array and show the length number there, right? So we can have this one dynamic. What I will do, I'll go to that header and change it. But we need to access those global variables, like the bag global variables and also the collection global variable. Let me just do that. So here, right above, we say that import that use context, same as everything else. Use context, and then down below, here, we're gonna const object structuring. We're gonna find that collection global variable and also the back one from equals use context from our app context. So here we have this automatic importation and everything works. So now we can access the global variable of the bag and also the collection, and we can find out the length of it. Okay, so here instead of hard coding that 3, we'll say that bag.length, like that. So this is like the more proper way of doing so. And the collection is the same. Instead of hard coding, we will say that this one is going to be a collection.length. Okay. So because we have changed the page directory to /bag, what I want to do, I want to apply the same logic to that collection as well, because very quickly we're going to build up our collection page. So here we say link, and this one's link. Instead of a href, this one will be 2 equals /collection. We haven't built this page route yet, but we just leave it there. Later on, we're going to create this route to hold that collection page. But now if we go back to the browser, you will see that this item number has been changed to 2, right? You click on it, it's 2, and the collection icon, but with a number of 0, because so far we haven't added anything into that collection array, is supposed to be the initial state variable value, which is we defined here. Remember, we have that defined this empty array at the beginning, and we haven't added anything into the collection yet, so that's why this shows 0, because the length is 0. Okay, so now we have everything done. Perfect. Alright, so next step, we have done that. We have done the back, so close off this header, down the back, all good. And if we are going back to our back to see if that remove button is working, we click on, one of the items that we click on has been filtered out, which means that this function is working correctly. Inside the back array, we're going to filter out the item with the ID that you click on, and the remaining item will stay inside the array, which is working. So if we remove again, so our back gets emptied out, so it's all good. And now we're going back to our home page. So now you can see if we refresh the page, and our next job is to create our collection page. And one of the key features inside that collection page is that we are going to have our item card, because the item inside the collection page is going to be presented to the user as a product card, okay, which is another key features. Let's just jump in and do that. So first, let's go to our app.js file to create a route for our collection. Just down below, we say route. So we're going to create a new collection, new page called collection. And we know that this page is going to load a component called collection as well. So what I will do, inside our page, create a new file called collection. It's going to be a new page, JSX, RFCE, create a boilerplate, save it, and very quickly create a new file called collection with a lowercase .css. So that's going to be linked back to our page component. So we say import collection.css done. Okay, so that's that. We close off the previous thing that we just built, those two. And we have our collection page, and we have the CSS. So now if you include that thing, you should have it. You must create a component first before you use them, otherwise you'll pop with an error. I couldn't find that. And an element, because we have created that component, if you have that reminder thing, yeah, it automatically shows that component you have built and check out with you. Do you want to import the one from the page folder? Tab means that yes. So this is the automatic importation, which will save you heaps of time and it wouldn't be any error. So once you import that, just double check from the above, the collection page component has been imported from the right directory. Okay, if that's all okay, basically we finalize all the pages in this app, in this application. In real work, and probably want to build a few more pages like the 404 page, the page not found page, right? So and maybe you have a login or logout page. In a future video, I'm going to introduce how to create an application with the login, logout, and the register, forgot password, all of those authorization systems with a new application. All right, but for this project, we'll just leave it for now. And that's all the routes you're gonna have. And inside our collection, we're gonna build it right now. All the things we're gonna put. But think about the collection page. What does it contain? It contains the page title, right? And it also contains some kind of a product card. So one of the key things for us to focus on in the collection is our product card. So very quickly, we're gonna go to our component folder to create our item card or the product card. So here I just name it item card. New file, JSX, and also the same file name, CSS. Okay, back to our card RFCE, a boilerplate, and we create a import.css file. Done. So now we have our card, and we have the CSS link to it. The logic here is that when we build a collection, we're going to have the collection page title, and also we're going to map all the things inside the collection array, which is the global variable here, map this global array into our item card so the user can see it. Okay, so to do so, back to our collection, remove that worth, And what we're going to do is create a class name for this page and call it the collection. And inside here, we're going to say div.container. And inside here, we're going to say row. Create a new row, give a margin bottom of 2, or maybe slightly larger for this one, because we want more space. And give a h1 title says my collection. Alright, so now we have it. If we're going back to that collection page, you will see that my collection, the text box is there, but it's touching the top. So what I will do the CSS for the collection page first, so it will look much nicer. Just a few lines of code. Margin to top 120. So once we've done that, it's been placed in the correct position. Okay, so we've done it. Close this off. And the next part is going to show the item card. The item card is going to be a bootstrap card in that kind of layout. So what I will do, below this row, we're going to create a new row. And inside this new row, we're going to check out our collections. Okay, so the same logic as the previous one. We're going to call the collection variable from the app context. Use context hook. So once we've done that, we'll say const. We'll object destructure that collection item and rename it to items. And that thing comes from the use context hook and call that app context. Auto importation works. This thing is sitting at the top. So once we've done that, we have the items. We're going to map this collection item into our card. So far, we haven't created anything inside the card yet, but we're just going to map it. So what I will do, I'll quickly copy and paste my code, and because it's a very similar logic as the previous one. Here you will say that first we're going to check if the item length is equal to 0. If the collection has a 0 length, basically means you have no collections, right? Otherwise, if it's a no 0, we're going to map it into our item card. Because we have created our item card over here, so here we're just going to import it from the component, and now it's going to be mapped into that with a key assigned to it and also the entire item object assigned to it. Okay, so now these two variables get passed into the item card, and inside item card we can access and object destructure that item. So now you have all the information of the item, which is each object. Okay, so let's just try out so far. Going back, and let's see on the banner page if we have triggered that function yet. So we're going to our hero section, which is this one. On the hero section, one of the buttons that we created is this one, add to shopping bag. Another button that we're supposed to do is this one, but so far it has no functionality. So I will modify this part in our hero section that we built in the previous video and make sure that it has that add to collection functionality working. And to make the modification and changes, we're going to import a few more things from the context, which is the collection. So here, instead of just using the items, I would also get the collection. Oops, not the component. Get the collection variable, and also set collection. Yeah, we're going to import all of these from the environment variable. And once we've done that, I'm going to show you two functions. One is called handle add to collection. The other one is a handle remove from the collections. So these two things will be handling the item being added and removed off from the collection array. Very simple. Here we're going to reset our collection array by copying the existing collection array and adding the new items that's going to be put into the array. And for the remove, it's the same logic. We're going to filter out the item that has been clicked on. We kick that out and make sure we have the remaining stuff stay in the array and reset the collection array. Okay, very simple logic for those two. This one line of code will do all the adding and removing. Once we have those two, we're going to go back to this button, which is the bookmark button here, and we're going to apply the logic. The logic here is that one thing is to enable that toggle. When you use the toggle on the bookmark, the item is supposed to be added to the collection, and then click again, and that thing is supposed to be removed from the collection. That's one thing. The other thing is that we have to show the status of that collection in terms of CSS, because once the item got added into the collection, the bookmark should show a different color or background color, and to indicate that this item has been added. Otherwise, the user just keep clicking on it, which makes no sense, right? So what I will do, I show you the code that I wrote. I used the new code to replace the previous code, which is this one. I'll explain to you. First, we'll check out, in terms of the class name, we use the active class name to indicate that this one has been collected or not. However, how do we know that if this item has been collected or not? We will check if the current collection array included the item that we want to put in already. If included, we'll show the bookmark with the active class name, and on the CSS, the one with the active class name will have a background color of red. Okay? And the second thing is the onClick function. Whenever the user click on it, we should trigger different functions. If the collection array already have this thing included, basically means that it's active. Then the user click on it, we should remove it. Otherwise, if the collection array does not include the current item, then the user click on it, it should add it to the collection array. Alright, very simple logic. Yep. So if you can understand that, we'll finalize this front page, and we're going back, just reload it a bit to see if it's working. So currently we're on the number 2, and if I click on this one, as you can see, this thing stay in red because it's active. And you can see the icon at the top right corner, that thing changes to 1. If we click on it, we're going to that my collection. This thing is here is not very obvious, but you can see it's item card, which indicates that we have one thing being added into it. Because in our item card, we only have this text words in it. That's why I'm only showing that text words. But we have one item added. Alright? So this is working absolutely. So this bookmark is originally white with a white background color, and only when you hover your mouse on it or you click on it and make it active, it will change the background to red. So I try another one. Try the number 6. Hover on it, it changes to red. Click it, it stays at red. Okay? And this one changes to 1. Another one, stay at red, and this one changes to 2, as you can see. If we're going into it, here we should see 2 item cards. We have now 2 item cards added into this collection bag. And what is that? Because every time we add a new thing into our collection, this array gets updated. Right? This array gets updated with 2 objects in it. And once we map it, we should map it twice. That's why we have 2 cards on the screen. Okay? So all the logic must be linked up for you to do the job. And the next and the remaining things are going to be quite simple, is to finalize our card building, because we couldn't just show the user the text was item card. We need a actual physical card that looks beautiful and decent to show to the user. Okay? So inside our item card, what I will do is that show you the kind of things we're going to build. So instead of writing this text word, what I will do is that we're going to give some class name. The class name comes with the Bootstrap, because we want to make sure the class works all okay on different sides of the devices. On the large size, we're going to make sure it takes 3 columns, just extra large size 3 columns, large size 4 columns, middle size devices 6 columns. Remember, I told you that one row of that Bootstrap contains 12 columns. So how many columns you take and will end up give you the different size of the view. Okay, so we have that done, and the remaining thing is that we will have the same kind of functionality as the hero section, which is the add to collection and the remove from collections being added over here. And then we're going to import our collection global variable here. So since we use the use context hook, we're going to import it here. And then this one is going to be the app context. Auto importation is working, so everything's good now. So we have that. We have these 2 functions, add to and remove. And now it's just the remaining job will be the card. What I will do, I'll quickly copy and paste this card and explain to you. It's not very complicated logic. And paste. And inside this card, we are using links, so I'm going to auto import that. Right, so it's working. So we create a class name called item card, and we wrap the card inside item name. Inside item card, the first thing is going to be showing the user the image of that product. So we have an image tag which will access the background image from each item. Remember that we have that item variable here, which has been provided from the parents. When we do the mapping, we pass in that item as a property value, and then here we object structure that value, and we have the access to it. Now we're just gonna use that object to fetch each property of it. And this property has been predefined in our JSON URL that we talked about in the previous session. If you have no idea what I'm talking about right now, it's probably just you get lost because you haven't watched the part 1 video. The part 1 video is more important because once you understand fully of what's going on, the remaining things is just provide you that logic. In my tutorials, I'll show you all the things step by step and explain the logic, but the focus of my course is not about typing up the words. Instead of typing each line of code and finalize the course, you still have no idea of what's going on. What I like to do is that I show every one of you the code and how it works, and the key thing is that I explain every single line of code for you, so you can know that the logic behind it, what's going on, what has been linked up, why it happened in this way, what's supposed to be done to trigger the next step. So that's the focus of my course. All right. So these two functions we have wrote, and we're gonna apply here again, and we have the access to that item. We're just gonna fetch the item, background image and title, and put it into the image tag. The other thing is that we're going to create a link, and inside that link, we're going to have another icon which allows the user to toggle on and off that item to be added or removed from the collection bag. It's the same logic as that one. It's just this icon. Once the user click on it, this thing is gone. You see? Once the user click on it, this thing is gone. So far, it looks pretty ugly because we haven't given any CSS to it. Right? Let me just try again. Let's say, for example, this is the second one, and we add it. Now you have one item inside your collection. Go to a collection page, you will see that bookmark sign. Currently, because you added it in, this sign is showing active because you have that item inside the collection array. Once you click again, you should remove it. So that's what it is for. If your collection array have this item included, you should remove it unclicked. Otherwise, if the collection array does not include this item, once you click the button or the bookmark, you should add it. Right? It's the same kind of a logic. This is called the conditional operator in JavaScript. And the next thing is that we're going to show the item's type, the promotion, the title. All of these details are stored in our backend URL, so you can access all of these. And one thing that worth pointing out is the discount. Not every item is supposed to have a discount, so when we present information to the user, we're going to first check if the item does have the discount. So if the discount does not equal to 0, basically means that it does have discount. Then not only will show the discount, but also will show the price after discount. All right. However, if the item does not have a discount at all, and we do not show the discount information, we will show the price straight away. Okay. So that's the logic. And the one final thing is that we'll have this add back icon that will allow the user to see the details of that product. So this icon will lead the user to go to the items.id, which is the detailed page. This page. I show you. Shop now. This is the item ID page, right? Because when I build this application, my idea is to have a single source of truth. Basically means that there's going to be one place for the user to add item to the shopping bag. If you have too many places that will allow the user to add, that's going to be very confusing, and you probably have inconsistent data in the end. So even though we have this card, let's say we have this card here. Once the user click on the add to shopping bag button, instead of add it to the shopping bag straight away, it will lead the user to the detailed page, and also the user gets to choose the size and the quantity of it on this page, and then add it to the bag, and then you will see it in the bag. Right? So there's always going to be one single true place for the user to add item to the bag. There's no confusion, and there's no mistake going to be made. So that's the logic of this page. And very quickly, I'm going to copy and paste in the item card CSS to make it nice and beautiful. So paste that in and save it. So quickly explain. And on this page, we're going to create item card with a proper height. You don't have to worry so much about the width because it's bootstrap. It automatically adjusts the width of the item inside the row as long as you give a column. I will make sure it has a background color, has some box shadow. The image, I'll make sure it has a certain percentage of height, take half of the card. And also you want to define the like button and all the liked item and spans on it, and how the color is going to be different for the discount information, how the color is going to be different for the counter price section. So once you have all of those things set up, so when you go back to your collection, you will see this card beautifully presented to the user like this. You have this discount information in italic and also with a background color of red. And the original price gets crossed out whenever there's a discount and then the final price after discount gets shown to the user, and this is going to be the season, this is a hot item. All this information is coming from our backend URL over here, okay? So I didn't make it up. And this add to back button will lead you to the detailed page over here, and this bookmark allows the user to toggle on and off of that item from their collection bag. So if I click again, that thing gets removed off, and because the collection array is empty and you get to see that you have no collections, the information pops out. Alright, so this is the item card CSS, quite simple to make it look much nicer. So currently, what we have built so far, let me just summarize. We have these pages. If you look at app.js, we have 4 pages. We have the root page, which is our home page, and we have our product detailed page, we have our back page, we have our collection page. And inside our back page, we use the table to present our shop back item, and we create that table over here. And inside our collections, we use the item to show that we use the item card to show that all the items that has been added to our collection bag, and we created the item card component using here. Okay, so now we have pretty much everything done, and the next job is going to finalize the remaining of the application, which is the women's section, the men's section, and the footer of this page, and how I show you at the very beginning of the video in part 1, or the introduction video in this part. However, I'm not going to show you how to code those things inside this session, because if you look at my introduction video, you will see those are very standard section which contains the card of this item. If you know how to build this card, you will reapply this card inside the home page and build a few more sections, and then also for the footers, right? So in the teaching tutorial, this 2-part, what we finished at is we finished the banner page with all of these on-click events that will swap between the background image and the detailed text. And we finalized the product detailed page, which is the key thing that allows the user to choose size and quantity. And also we finalized the add to back functionality that will allow the user to add things to their shopping bag and also calculate the final payment in total. And also we have done the collection bookmark and also allow the user to see the thing that they have collected in their collection page. So all the things, all the key and important features of this application I have already shown you. The remaining things I'm not going to show you, but if you do like the complete project, you can go to my online shop and register a membership. If you register a membership, you can access anything from my online shop at a 50% discount. It's a very, very reasonable price with such a big project. And hopefully you enjoyed the tutorial so far. If you like my video, please subscribe to my channel, like it, share it, and I will show you more exciting and creative features of the videos and project in the future videos. Okay, thank you all for watching. Bye bye.